Hello, cousins. It's so great to see all of you. I know this is a weekend sort of devoted to family stories and family photos, so let me start with mine. Happy holidays from the Weirs. I don't know if you can pick me out in that one. Talk about a family tree. This is a banyan tree on the island of Tanna in the South Pacific nation of Vanuatu. And I'm going to talk about lessons I've learned from some of the happiest families around the world. I have an amazing job where I get to fill my passport and get paid for it. And I came to appreciate all of you and just the idea of family in a really sort of a roundabout way. And my family story actually starts in America, like most of ours. Now, the gold dots here represent counties where there are more grocery stores than bars. The red is where there are more bars than grocery stores. The reddest state is Wisconsin, where I'm from, God's country there, and so family is bar related in many ways, and it definitely was for mine because Frank Miller was a first-generation American. He's from Croatia. He became a cop in Milwaukee, and when he made sergeant, he could finally afford a little bit of land in a town called Wautoma. So he built this weekend house. He'd bring his 4 kids there. And in this town, there was this rakish, fresh Army vet, balding, funny guy, bartender named Bill Weir. And one day he was working behind the bar, and in walks one of Frank's daughters, kind of a party girl named Patricia. And I think she actually kept her car keys in that hairdo. But Bill and Pat, they met, they got married, fell in love, got married, had a little fat baby named Billy, and then promptly got divorced, which is a pretty common symptom of modern American life, right? So my idea of family early on involved sort of custody battles and visitation schedules and step parents, which I'm not knocking. It is what it is, but I never really appreciated the tight bond that most families appreciate. So Mom also was a seeker and very convincing woman, and she found God. And when she found God, boy, she fell hard. And one day she announced at breakfast that she had had a dream the night before that God wanted us to move to Texas. And because she could convince me that this actually is a good look, I went along with it. And the dreams kept coming. And so over the next 7 years, from the time I was 10 until I left the house, we moved 17 times in 6 states. And I was always the new kid, and I didn't know any better, but it was great training for my job now, when you got to sort of ingratiate fast. But I moved around, started a little station in Minnesota, then went to Green Bay, Chicago, Los Angeles, and along the way, I met the sister, beautiful sister of a colleague. We fell in love over a weekend, and 3 months later, we eloped. And we're about to celebrate our 19th wedding anniversary. So thank you. Sort of the best impulse buy. And for the first 8 years of our marriage, we were these really annoying childless couples. We had no interest in family. She was also a child of divorce, and we thought, no, it's just us, is all we need. We like kids fine, but we also like, I don't know, spontaneity and lead-based paint and mini blinds and convertibles and R-rated film and sleep and sex and silence, you know, all the stuff you give up. But then this little pumpkin came along, Olivia, and then about a week after she was born, I got a call from ABC. They say, hey, Diane Sawyer wants to meet you. And this was my big break. And so I came and I started doing Weekend Good Morning America, went to Nightline, and suddenly someone was paying me to travel the world, and suddenly this sort of rootless gypsy kid who was resentful of forced family fun, man, was hanging out in the most bizarre places of the planet and hearing amazing stories from people. I spent nights with Bedouin families in the Jordanian desert and with alpine adventurers in the top of the Alps in France. And I met some of our distant cousins in Taj Mahal just last year. There's a lot of cousins in India that you have. I learned what the evening commute is like in Venice, Italy for a married couple as well. And I wanted to bring you some of the lessons that a child of divorce, a rootless kid kind of picked up, that is probably anybody here already understands a lot of these themes. But I want to start with a documentary I did at ABC about 8 years ago on happiness around the world. I was intrigued by how you measure it, where are the happiest places, what leads to it. And Pew does this big longitudinal study around the globe where they ask thousands and thousands of people their level of contentment. And they found that, hands down, the most content people don't live on a beach in the south of France or even in America, but in cold, dreary Denmark. Check it out. Oh, can you hear this? Oh, we don't.
I guess. Right now I'm probably like 9.
7.
8, I think.
An 8.
9.5.
10. It went on like this most of the morning, until finally, a grouchy Dane.
I think it's the biggest lie in the world that the Danes should be so happy because they're not.
But when pressed, even Miss Potty Mouth slipped into gratitude.
I'm content, like she said. Most Danes, we have no reasons to complain.
Well, they do have one complaint. In fact, I heard it from a couple people. Taxes. Yes, the happiest people in the world pay some of the highest taxes in the world, up to 63% of their income. In exchange, the government covers all health care and education and spends more on children and the elderly per capita than any other nation in the world. Those high taxes have another effect. Since a banker ends up taking home about as much as an artist, people don't choose careers based on income or status.
We see people quit their job because I want to do something that I really, really like.
Joseph invited us over for a Danish tradition.
Okay. Oh, we got a fix. Sorry about that. Could you guys hear any of that? A little bit? All right, let me go back and let's start it again. And
Could they really be the happiest in the world?
on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you?
8.
About 8.
Can you guys crank the audio on this guy
Right now
any?
I'm probably like 9.
7.
Oh, here.
8, I think.
An 8.
9.5.
9.5.
10.
It went on like this most of the morning, until finally,
I
a
totally
grouchy
disagree, because I
Dane.
think it's the biggest lie in the world that the Danes should be so happy because they're not.
But when pressed, even Miss Potty Mouth slipped into gratitude.
I'm content, like she said.
You're content.
Most Danes, we have no reasons to complain.
Well, they do have one complaint. In fact, I heard it from a couple people. Taxes. Yes, the happiest people in the world pay some of the highest taxes in the world, up to 63% of their income. In exchange, the government covers all health care and education and spends more on children and the elderly per capita than any other nation in the world. Those high taxes have another effect. Since a banker ends up taking home about as much as an artist, people don't choose careers based on income or status.
We see people quit their job because I want to do something that I really, really like.
Joseph invited us over for a Danish tradition called hygge. Cozy, intimate, spontaneous gatherings with neighbors and family. Emotional insulation against the long winter. And hanging out with other Danes may just be their happiness secret. 92% belong to dancing clubs or singing clubs, even laughing club. Get a few people together who enjoy cold water swimming or model train building, and the government will pay for it. Yes, in Denmark, even friendship is subsidized.
Yeah. Now, that wouldn't work here, would it? The inconvenient truth of Denmark is it's about the size of Wisconsin. It's 95% white Lutherans. It's much easier to pay 70% taxes if you know that that money is subsidizing people who look and think exactly like you. But America, of course, is 60 times bigger, with every sort of ethnicity and creed and political leaning. So that kind of socialism, it's not going to happen in our time, and maybe it shouldn't. That's a political argument. But the underlying science beneath that is happiness is directly proportional to the amount of people you're comfortable hugging in your life, the social connections you have, somebody to have a cup of coffee with, whether it's the guy who picks up your garbage or watches your kids. And it's a similar ethic in a place not nearly as rich as Denmark. It's the island of Vanuatu I was talking about. This is on Tanna. This is a live volcano to the right. Amazing place. 83 different islands. Some of them are mountainous. Some are these sugar sand beaches where there's plenty of fish to eat. Any seed you drop in the volcanic ground grows. And the kids are so happy and playful despite a complete lack of video games and smartphones. I don't know how that happens. But I went there for my show, The Wonderlist, because I wondered, in 2015, is there still a Hawaii without hotels? Is there still a Bali without Burger Kings? And how long can it last? And I met a guy named Bob on an island called Ra, and they wrestle with this question every day, especially since foreigners started showing up with big bags of money offering to buy the place.
This man come here, and he was very, very friendly.
Bob has a similar story about another rich white man, this one from California, who had plans for the entire island.
3 million.
Okay, so that's $30,000.
Yes. 3 million is only half of this island.
Okay.
Yes.
So he wanted to buy half this
Only
island
half of this
for
island.
$30,000. You could stay and keep
Stay
the other
here.
half
Yes.
and then work in his hotel.
Yes. The man said, you can buy it. Yes. You can buy it.
But the
whole
women-
island. But the women said, oh, no.
No way, hold
No
on.
way. Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
Yes, the landladies of paradise didn't want to become tenants. But it seems like only a matter of time before someone makes them an offer no one can refuse. If a lot of white people come and they get electricity and better roads and a lot of these things here, it will change your life. It'll change the rhythms of your life, what time you go to bed, when you wake up, when you get to fish. Maybe your children will be working in a restaurant instead of fishing on the reef.
Fishing on the reef.
Is that okay?
Yes. Maybe it means okay.
It's okay to you, yeah. Be careful what you wish for. So they are very much not like Denmark. They have to grow what they eat, catch what they eat, and they're wrestling with it. And they want the same things we want, a better hospital for school for their kids. But to a person, they told me what scares them most is the idea of a son or a brother or a father having to go to the bigger island to get a job because it breaks apart the family unit. It is so tight, and it is such opposite of the mindset of gypsy Americans like my mom who enjoyed unfettered freedom, but you give something up there. And finally, I want to take you to another island in Greece. This is a little place called Ikaria, named after Icarus, the Greek god. And people on this particular island, even more so than their neighboring islands, live not only happy lives, long happy lives. 10, 15 years longer than the rest of us in the developed world. They're a blue zone. These are these little geographic pockets around the planet where people have figured out how to cheat death. And this is Antiope and Alexandro. They've been married 65 years. He's 89, she's a spry 82. They grow all their own food, take care of the kids. This is Yoyana, who has her own business. She owns a weaver, like a loom, and she goes to work every day at age 103. And this is Konstantinos. The first time he saw an airplane, it shot at him during the Greek Civil War. He's 94 and had spent the night before this, our conversation, up till 4 in the morning dancing and playing dominoes. And I learned another amazing key about these people and their secret to long life. It's not a magic bullet. It's really a buckshot of diet, movement throughout the day, but also this strong social fabric that they have. And everything in moderation. They enjoy their wine, as you're about to see, but once a month or so, they blow it out, and everybody roasts a goat and has a party. Ah yes, time for a bag of goat. As luck would have it, I'm here for Panegyri season, town square blowouts tied to Orthodox saint worship, a time that draws hundreds of Icarian Americans back for a taste of home. And they are all eager to point out the longevity clues all around us, starting with the red stuff.
So you gotta be careful. It sneaks up on you. Hold on. Here you go.
If wine is bottled poetry, as the author once said, Icarian wine is music by the leader.
Yamas. Cheers.
And maybe most importantly of all, these shindigs prove that Icarians know how to inoculate against loneliness. As George from New York tells me, it wouldn't be a party if the old folks weren't right in the thick of it. They feel valued, they feel needed, and
So if you notice tonight, younger people are sitting with the older people. So there's no, this is where the old people sit, this is where the young people sit.
no generation gap.
No, we're all sitting on the same table.
And the youngins learn very early in life that you can show up whenever you want, but you better be prepared to stay late. Eat, drink, and be merry, they believe. For tomorrow, we can all just take a nap. Somebody there actually asked me, is it true in America that you take your elderly and put them in homes? it's a difficult question to think about, but it's anathema to them. Anyway, in the end, I realized that these folks have something that I never experienced, even though I live at the tip of human evolution in the most prosperous country in the world with an amazing job, but I'll never have the kind of family fiber that these folks enjoy in all these places. But it's never too late to foster that, to plant those seeds, to reach out to those family folks, savor what you have. I think Tolstoy was right. All happy families are the same because they start as families. And from mine to yours, thanks for your attention. I'm glad we're cousins.